Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for coming this evening and spending some time with us and learning more about Azamara. Lionel's going to do, you're going to love it. But it's one of our favorites, and he'll tell you why. But before we get started, I just want to say that we are just back from Virtuoso Travel Week, and I think most of you kind of know what that is, but once a year we go out to Vegas for a week, and it's back up to about almost 5,000 people this year. And about half of them are suppliers like Lionel, and the other half are agency personnel. And it's crazy busy, wonderful, cutting edge information, just so much. So now is a great time to talk with your advisor about any future plans because we've got some great new things in the works. But I have to just brag a little bit on my little agency. We have two cruise icons, Debbie and Lynn Ann, and I'm going to introduce the staff in just a minute. We have three Virtuoso top producers, Lynn Ann, Debbie, and Angela. Angela was named the top adventure specialist in Virtuoso. And like I said, just at the meeting, there were 2,500 virtuosos. So that gives you an idea. Like I say, I'm just so proud of our little group, and those that aren't there are on their way up. So we're but it's also our suppliers that put us up, take us to that next level because they give us all the education. This they're doing for you. They do it for us in the office either by Zoom now or by coming in and keep us updated on new product and so forth. So we're getting a constant flow of information. We're really happy to have them and part of the family too. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Lionel and let him tell you all about Azamara.
Thank you so much. Thank you, team. Thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and learn more about Azamara. How many of you have been on an Azamara vacation? Okay, one. All right. How about this one? And by the way, that was on purpose. I just want you to know that. That was on purpose because you'll learn today as I share more about Azamara that I really believe that Azamara is dedicated more to the non-cruiser or the non-cruiser, more of the land lover or river cruiser than the cruiser. And I'm going to share with you hopefully today why I feel that way. And if I do a good enough job, you'll agree with me. And then that would work for all of us. So how many of you have been on a cruise vacation before? All right, most of you. Excellent. All right. So I've been a part of the Azamara family for a total of about 13 years. And you're probably wondering, well, how old are you really? I started in the cruise business 20 years ago in April. I love cruise. I love vacations on the sea. I think it's a phenomenal way to see the destinations, a phenomenal way to see the world. And I've had a privilege of working with Azamara now for a number of years. And I feel like more people need to understand what it's about. But I feel like it's been challenged because you don't hear about us. You don't see us on TV. You don't get a nice direct mail piece or a postcard. You don't see the commercials. You may not even see us in the magazines. And that's because up until about 3 years ago, we only had 2 ships, which, by the way, thanks to some of your friends at sea that travel with you on your vacations, they were sold out. Well, now we have doubled our size. We have 4 ships, and we plan to continue to grow, and we need to get the word out and let people know what makes us unique. So I'm hoping I'd be able to share that with you. So I've been asked a number of times, who is Azamara? Imagine my position, right? I used to work at Royal Caribbean. I told somebody I work at Royal Caribbean. Their eyes would light up. Wow, cool. Do you get a discount? Can you get me a discount, right? Then I present to them that I work at Azamara, and I hear, as a who? As a what? What is that? Is that a cruise ship? I've never heard of them. We've been in business for about 16, 17 years now, so we've been around for some time. So I have a really unique way to describe Azamara. And I say that we are a land vacation company that uses floating hotels. I know you're probably looking at me funny because you're like, wait a minute, I thought you told me you're a cruise line. But we are a land vacation company that uses floating hotels, and that's because I'm going to share with you what makes us unique is the amount of time that we spend in port. Over 80% of the time that you're on a vacation with us, you will be in the destination. That includes late nights, that includes overnights, that includes sometimes multiple overnights. So the ship is truly your floating hotel. We also introduced this concept of cruising called country intensive. So maybe you want to see Ireland, or you want to see Spain, France, Italy. Well, why not do it on a cruise where you get to pack and unpack one time instead of having to pack and unpack multiple times like you might have to do on a land vacation. So I'm going to give you some examples, but a little bit, since this is on the screen here, we're a small ship, we're a small ship cruise line. So that means we operate with 700 passengers and 400 crew. And I'm going to keep it a little bit easier for you. All 4 ships are exactly the same. So they all have the same look and feel, the same number of staterooms, the same capacity. They all have the same awesome chefs and great cuisine, the same activities. So you're not trying to figure out, well, which one's newer, which one's better, which is the one for me. You just have to figure out where in the world do you want to go and which one of those 4 ships are going to take you to that destination. So here's a video that I think does a really good job of describing it. We've never, I think this commercial is the first commercial we've had in the history of Azamara. And the only way you'll see it right now is if you have like YouTube TV or Hulu TV, you might see it there, but that's where you'll.
Push beyond the obvious, and perspective is open to change. When you see parts unknown in ports less known, unwind, stay the night, and just slow down. Wander, but never wonder what a place is really like. The difference is night and day. Azamara, change the way you see.
You know, one day I'm going to be the voice in those commercials. So I don't know if you see the play on word here, change the way you see. And that's because we've been so focused on delivering land that to some point, some people forgot the fact that we were a cruise line. So we still got to remind them, yes, we operate these beautiful ships that act as floating hotels, but we want to change the way you see the world so you can see it differently. So today, the world is truly our oyster. What I'm about to present to you are some examples of itineraries and things that we can do to showcase the world, because I think sometimes seeing is believing. So these late night stays and overnight stays, when we call it a late night stay, that means a departure of 8 p.m. or later. And I mentioned before, more than half of our stops are going to deliver one of those infamous late night stays. Some of those even turn into overnights. So you'll see a lot of the pictures that we share with you in upcoming marketing, or it's going to show nighttime shots. And if you're used to regular cruising, you know you got to be back by 5 or 6. And you're probably thinking, well, Lionel, so what if you're in port late at night? I got to be back on the ship anyway. But you don't. With Azamara, some of our guests actually spend the night off the ship and then come back to the ship a day or 2 later. For example, we do an Israel intensive where we spend 5 nights in Israel. Some of our guests don't come back to the ship until the 3rd night because they wanted to spend time in Israel. Let's show you some of these smaller ports. Here we are in Marseille. This is somewhere in the Norwegian fjords. And you see we're in the center of town. And I want to show you this one because this kind of brings it home. Here we are in Bordeaux. Most of the large ships, if they're going to stop somewhere, they're going to La Rochelle. There's a long commute from La Rochelle to Bordeaux. Azamara ships are small enough that we could sail up the Garonne and we dock in Bordeaux. And we'll spend 3 days, 2 nights in Bordeaux. So some guests want to wake up at a chateau in Saint-Emilion instead of on the cruise ship. And they can do that because we're there. Or how about Sevilla? Most of the cruise lines will stop in a port called Cadiz. But we spend 3 days, 2 nights in Sevilla, and we sail up the Guayaquil River, and we stay right in Sevilla. Notice the reason why the big ships can't go, we barely fit, right? So this is what makes Azamara unique, and this is just one of many examples, or 2 of many examples that we have. So let's talk about these country intensives, because now that you've cruised to probably most of the parts of the world that you want to go to, you're probably reaching out to your favorite travel agent here and asking them, well, I want to now go see the destination. Book me on a land vacation there. You know, let's book some hotels to see the sights, the sounds. I want to connect with the people because, you know, I got a taste, but now I want more. So with Azamara, you could do that, and by packing and unpacking once because of our country intensives. Places like France, Scotland, Ireland, Italy. And I love using the example of Ireland. This is my little opportunity to play charades with you. If you did Ireland by land, this is how you're going to spend most of your time in the early morning, afternoon. Are you ready? Tell me what you're doing. Sleeping on the bus. You got it. Because you went to bed super late because you're out drinking and having a great time in Ireland, or hanging out with friends, socializing, catching up on the day and the awesome things that you got to do. And then you're up in the morning super early to have your bag packed and out on the motor coach so that you could board the bus by 8 to off you go on your tour. That's how you're seeing Ireland. What a shame. So with Azamara, you get to pack and unpack once and see Ireland and Northern Ireland. Other places too, like Greece, South Africa, Japan, Turkey, Iceland, Norway. Over 15 different countries that we dedicate just to one voyage, ranging as short as 7 nights to as long as 18 nights, depending on what you're looking for. So some of the places that we could take you, how about a Norway intensive? Now, don't get hung up on the number of nights or the dates, because at the end of the day, there's a number of these. But I just want to show you, because again, I think seeing is believing. If you wanted to see Norway, I mean, this hits it out of the park, right? So this has 2 late night stays, 2 overnights. How about a wine and culture voyage? We stop within walking distance of this Reflection Square, and we have an overnight in Bordeaux, and we have an overnight in Lisbon. How awesome is that to be? And by the way, this is one of those peri-golf voyages, which I'll talk about a little bit later as well. And then we have Greece. We're going to places like the smaller places, Thessaloniki, Volos, Spetses. Yes, of course we do Santorini. Yes, of course we do Mykonos. We have a voyage that overnights in Mykonos. So what better place to have an overnight than Mykonos? My favorite thing that we do, and especially when we stop in Santorini, is that we don't depart until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So now you get to see Santorini, the sunset from the caldera instead of from the ship sailing into the sunset. You actually are up here watching the sun set right into the caldera, like somebody who was staying in Santorini. How about in Africa? We have a 12-night South Africa intensive voyage. These are going to go round trip Cape Town, and you're going to get a chance to see everything that you want to see in South Africa. On top of that, you could add a pre or post African Mikado safari, African safari before the voyage or after the voyage. South America, and we also have the Caribbean here I'll talk about, but here's one of the many options that we have in South America. But another one that's quite popular is Carnival in Rio. Try booking a night in Rio for Carnival. I mean, I'm sure the team here can help you find a hotel night, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't want to pay what it costs to stay there then. But Azamara is going to spend the night. She's actually going to spend 3 days in Rio during Carnival. And we're right there. And we'll have tickets to Carnival as well. And even though you see this, I have to tell you and admit that I don't touch the 7th continent. I wish we did, but our holes are not rated strong enough. You'll have a Titanic #2. And so we cannot touch the ice, and we don't have zodiacs to take you to touch the ice. I've heard that we come close enough that you could smell the penguins. I have not done this voyage because this happens January and February, and that's our busy season, and they don't let us travel during that time. So South America and Australia are kind of off limits for me until I find another job, which I hope I don't have to do. And then we have the Caribbean itineraries that I wanted to share because I don't necessarily think we do anything super spectacularly different in the Caribbean. But sometimes, since you've never tried Azamara, it might be convenient for you to drive down to Miami or Fort Lauderdale and hop on the ship so you get an idea of what it's like to go on Azamara. In the Caribbean, we do have few unique stops. For example, we'll stop in St. John. And very few of the cruise lines stop in St. John. You have to go on a shore excursion from St. Thomas. We also have 2 Panama Canal options that I think are quite unique. And that's because they end in Lima. So one goes from Miami to Lima, 16 nights, and the other one goes from Lima over to Miami. What's really special about that is that you could pair that up with Machu Picchu. Because if you're going to get down to Peru and miss one of the wonders of the world, you're leaving a wonderful, beautiful opportunity. So we have a partnership with Cold Tour to deliver Machu Picchu. Now this one is on almost everyone's bucket list, unless you've done it, and then it might be on your bucket list again, but that's a Japan intensive. And of course, we're going to be there when it's the time you want to be there, which is cherry blossom season. So we're going to do voyages in March and in April. Late nights and overnights all across the board. This is a 15-night, 13 ports with 4 late night stays and 2 overnight stays. Some of our guests disembark in Kobe and they go inland and spend the night on another spot in Japan and then come back to the ship at the next port of call. Australia and New Zealand's another place that people go to. We have the Australia intensive or New Zealand intensive. This one's kind of a combination of both. Here's something that we do that's unique also down there. We'll dock the ship in Sydney Harbor for New Year's Eve. I love the fact that they're the first ones to celebrate the countdown. So we hear about it. I forget the number of hours, but it's sometime in the sun is still out. You still haven't started drinking. And it's like, hey, I'm like, well, one day I'm going to be there. How cool. You could be there too. We dock right at Sydney Harbor and we have front row seats to that fireworks show. So let's talk about how we deliver land. Many of these destinations, you could pair up a land tour pre-cruise or post-cruise, sometimes even during the cruise. So I mentioned Mikado Safari in Africa. I mentioned Machu Picchu with Cold Tour Peru. But then there's even a golf program and a partnership with a company called Perry Golf. Now, when I first started at Azamara, I thought Perry Golf was related to Perry Ellis. I made a huge mistake. They have nothing to do with the clothing company. They are a tour outfitter for golf experiences. So if you want to play golf somewhere in the world, you could reach out. Your partners here at Wallace Pearson can connect you with someone at Perry Golf and find you that tee time at that course that you want to. But they wanted to be able to marry 2 phenomenal vacations, a cruise vacation and a golf vacation. And they realized that there's very few, if only one, cruise line that spends enough time in port where you can play golf and do a cruise. So they've partnered with Azamara, and their collection of what started as one voyage, as the British Open voyage, has now turned into 24 different voyages that they have with us. And we have space through the end of 2024. Now, our most popular one is the Open. I know we were just in St. Andrews. I know you happened to be there before the Open, which was really cool. And this one's great because it ends with tickets to the championship round of the Open. So if golf is something you want to do and you and your traveling companion argue over which vacation you're going to do, this might be the best one. And I will tell you, some of the itineraries, we come back from, the golfers arrive back on the ship after playing golf and still have enough time to go on a tour. That's how much time we have in port, which is great. And then when it comes to our shore excursions are additional. They're not included with Azamara. But that's because we have so much time in port that we don't want to lock you in and tell you have to do one of these tours that Azamara has curated for you. So we give you a selection of curated dates. We max them out at 26 passengers, so there's not a lot of people on these tours. And there's going to be regular tours like locales and landmarks. These are going to be your churches, your museums, your city centers, your hop-on, hop-off buses. Then there's local immersions. Maybe you go inside a family's home. And I have one that I did that I loved. It was in Dubrovnik. I'd already done the walls. So now I went to a family's home and we were making gnocchi by hand while drinking wine that they make from the vineyard that they grow there on their property, and then enjoying some bread and olive oil that they press on their property as well. And I didn't know this, but I was like, what are we going to put this gnocchi in? Well, grandma was in another kitchen making a stew. It's a family recipe. And we're sitting then at this table for 12, having lunch, enjoying all this and sharing stories. Those are things you won't forget. So those are our local immersions. And then these exclusive experiences like the Monaco Grand Prix. We overnight in Monaco for the Grand Prix, or Carnival in Rio, or the British Open. So if you don't want to do Perry Golf and play golf, we'll still have tickets to the championship round so you can watch the match. The military tattoo, New Year's Eve in Rio, New Year's Eve in Sydney Harbor. So these are all things that are exclusive and nice experiences. Now there is one night that everybody gets on Azamara on a voyage 7 nights or longer, and we call it an Azamazing evening. Now remember how earlier I told you we're a land vacation company that uses floating hotels? I had to come up with an easy way to explain it. What does an Azamazing evening mean? You could assume it's a combination between Azamara and amazing. That's a fair assumption, it's true, but I came up with another word. You ready? It's an ungoogleable event. You can't buy tickets to this event. You can't look it up on Google and say, I want that, book me that, because that's the trip I want or the exclusive event I want. So every voyage, 7 nights or longer, we invite our guests to a nighttime shore excursion in the heart of the city where there will be food, drink, and entertainment provided and transportation to and from the ship included for all of our guests. We usually rent out a beautifully restored venue in the heart of the city and everyone comes, and it's only available to our guests of that ship that evening. Now, I'm excited to share this with you, but I should have maybe deleted it because I don't have that much space left, and that's not my sales pitch. I realized that it was there, and I was like, oh, I should have taken it off because I have probably 7 rooms left. But I will tell you, if you are interested in this world cruise, this world voyage, talk to your advisor and I'll see if we could open some space. But there are 10 segments to the 7 wonders of the world. Okay, it's 155 nights. It's going to start in Fort Lauderdale, end in Barcelona. And what better way to spend 155 nights? I wish I could. And so, but if you can't do all 10 segments, you could book individual segments as well. If there's a segment you like or you want to explore, you can do that.
Do we know when you're going to release the next one?
No, not yet, but I think it's going to be probably by the end of the year, early next year, we'll have 25. We're still trying to finalize which ship's going to do it. Bless you. Because we have Onward, which is our newest ship that's doing it, but we don't know what other things could be down the line yet. So in due time.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it is something we will continue to do. Just our first attempt at it, I'll share this. This is a little like revealing moment. Our first attempt at our world voyage, we called it a grand voyage. It was 108 nights. And we were so excited because everyone else was doing it, so we wanted to do it too. And it was a dud. Like we probably had 40 people booked on it. The ship carries 700. Luckily, it's individual segments, so people can go into the other segments, but the people who were doing the world cruise was so few. So we're like, all right, well, let's try this again, right? That was 2018, so this is a number of years later. And I'm not telling you we've perfected it, but man, we did good. So we're excited because we think that there's a market for this. There's a lot of people who want to get away and be away for a long time and not have to worry about the cooking, the cleaning, the packing, the this, the that, and they want to see the world. So we offer that. This is one of my favorite slides to talk about because when you board Azamara, you see our officers welcome you on board and they say, welcome home. If you don't mind, fist bump me here. This is how we do it. And we were doing this before it was cool to do this, right? You know, it became cool to do this in 2020 because we didn't want to spread COVID.
Yeah.
But we were doing it before just because it's a way to keep the ship clean and healthy. And so you'll see they're doing the fist bump up there. Our officers are at the gangways when you are boarding the vessel. Our officers at the gangway or the tender stations when you're coming on and off, and they're welcoming you home. Why? Because we want the ship, the vessel, to feel like home, like your extension of your home, except you have the beautiful backyard is whatever part of the world that you're visiting. So we have 400 crew to serve your needs while you're on board, and you're only sharing the ship with 700 people, and that's if we're sold out. And I can tell you in today's world, we're not always sold out. So this puts you in a position where you could even be in a 1-to-1 ratio with our crew. We have a number of accommodations. This is my favorite accommodation. Don't get too excited because there's only 2 of them. And there's not only 2 because they sold out. No, we built 2 of these in 2016 to our fleet, and they're called the Spa Suite. My favorite feature is right here. It's this hot tub that's glass enclosed out on the veranda. It's really
Oh,
great.
boy.
I actually give this room a very unique name. I hope you don't get offended. I call it the sexy room because it is really a unique room. And there's another cruise line out there that has 4 ships just like this one, but they don't have this room. And so we offer 2 of these. They're the only 2 rooms on deck number 9. And I love our spa suite. However, we have accommodations to meet every need. We have our insides, which, by the way, don't recommend you booking inside. I don't think any of you here probably booking an inside. We have our veranda rooms, our picture windows. We have our verandas, and then we have a nice collection of suites. So, and if you have a bunch of friends, because I did have this happen once, we only have 44 suites. So keep your friend group small. On board, we have evening entertainment every single night in our cabaret lounge. When we can, we like to invite local entertainment on board as well. We also have a full service spa and gym on board. And our most popular night on board the vessel is our white night. And that's the night where we ask you to come dressed in white, and we source local food from the destination. We invite local entertainment from the destination. And then our officers, usually the men and women that hide on other cruise lines, are front and center, serving you dinner, cooking you steak, preparing lobster on the grill, making a crepe Suzette for you, and serving you a wonderful poolside dinner barbecue, if you will, under the stars while you're being entertained. So don't forget to pack something white. It's not a prerequisite, so you can wear black if you want to, but then in the pictures you're going to stand out. Like this guy wearing blue. See this? He's not wearing white. And then dining. My favorite thing we do in dining is that we highlight a different region of the world every evening. So we'll have a regular menu that's staple, doesn't change every night, okay? So if you don't like to be adventurous, no problem. We got a steak, a chicken, a salmon, a pasta every single evening. But if you want to be adventurous, we have a world cuisine menu. So one night is Spanish, another night is Italian, another night is Greek, another night is Turkish. My favorite is Turkish, Greek, and Indian. Those are my favorite nights. So we have the buffet windows, which the entire buffet is dedicated to that country. We have our main dining room discoveries right here, and there's a selection of menu items for that country and a regular menu as well. And then we have our specialty restaurants, Prime C, which is our steakhouse, Aquilina, which is our Italian restaurant. And we have the patio. Now the patio is kind of like a hidden gem. The reason why I say that is that lunchtime, it serves everything you would expect a pool grill to serve. Hamburgers, hot dogs, nachos, chicken wings, quesadillas, the stuff that you shouldn't eat, but you do because you're on vacation. But when you walk past it at dinner time, you don't want the same thing you just had for lunch. So you walk right past it. It's not the same menu. It's actually an elevated dinner menu. And I tell you this because to me, it should be a specialty restaurant in the evening. So if you want like some top secret pointer with Azamara, make sure you eat dinner one night at the patio and don't wait till the last night because I'm sure you're going to go back. Now, on board Azamara, remember I mentioned we want you to feel like home, so we're more inclusive. We're not all inclusive, we're more inclusive. So I like to say what we don't include because I think it's a smaller list of things. We don't include airfare, internet, or shore excursions in your price with Azamara. Doesn't mean we can't arrange those things for you, help you arrange those things. We just don't build it into the price when you buy the cruise. So what does that mean that is included? All your drinks, your tips, your Amazing evening, self-service laundry. I didn't realize this was a thing, but there are companies who have a laundry room and then they ask you to put a quarter in it. I don't know. I didn't even know that would be an issue, but then I found out it is an issue when you operate an international cruise brand and you have people from all over the world. Not everyone has a quarter. So we just include it. So you can use that. We have the cultural evenings. And then if we're not centrally located, right, because our ships are small, we could dock in the heart of the city. If we're not centrally located, we'll operate a shuttle for you from the ship to the heart of the city and back while we're in port, which in many cases, that's a cost saver for you as well. And I mentioned these individuals already. These are the men and women that help us today to operate the brand that we have. Without them, we wouldn't be in existence. so many of our guests come back because they want to travel with Captain Johannes, because they want to travel with Heike, because they want to travel with Tony. And it's incredible. I mean, we have to have the schedule posted on our webpage because they want to travel with their favorite cruise director or hotel director or captain. So if you ever give us a chance, maybe you'll make that same connection. Then you'll be asking me, well, when's Captain Johannes going here? So it is really, really nice. So I thank these because they're the reasons why we still are going. Now I'll cover with what promotions we have and things that we have going on. You'll have a little kit. I think it was like some papers. The last page or last 2 pages, it's our double upgrade promotion. Now I know some of you want to travel in a nicer accommodation than a veranda. However, our promotion right now is pay the inside price and travel in the veranda of your choice. We also have pay for the ocean view and travel in the veranda plus of your choice. The difference is just a few amenities, one versus the other. But this promo, I'm not going to pressure you, isn't going to expire until December 9th. I guess the only pressure is, as the promo ends, there's less verandas to choose from, okay? I can also tell you that if you're not looking to go in 23, we have 24 open, all the way through 24 open. The end of 24. And those voyages are part of our early booking bonus. That is going to extend a 20% discount, free Wi-Fi for 1 device, an upgraded beverage package for 2, and $300 onboard credit. And that's good for any voyage in 2024. If you really want to go last minute, I don't have a slide for it. I have space last minute. There's none of those extra perks, but we got a really nice price. We would love to have you go try, get on with us. But I know many of you already have your plans set for this year and maybe even for next year. So that's why I wanted you to know about 24. And then I will close with one last thing. Our partnership with our partners, with our travel advisors is very valuable. And so every month we partner with a different organization. And this month we've partnered with Virtuoso. Being that Wallace Pearson Travel is an agency with Virtuoso, we've extended a special offer for this month. So till the end of September, you will receive on any voyage you choose a $300 to $500 onboard credit paid for by Azamara as just a thank you for using a Virtuoso travel advisor. So with that, I'll say thank you and I'll take any questions you may have.
Specialty dietary needs, vegan, vegetarian, are those an issue on board?
It would not be an issue. As long as we know ahead of time, we can pretty much accommodate any dietary restrictions. I had even a group of kosher requirements. And yes, we have kosher meals. They're frozen. It's not the best food. This group didn't want that. They wanted something extra special for them. And as long they came with enough time, we were able to plan it and set aside a part of the kitchen for them and everything. So we can make the concessions that you may need. So just as long as you give us time, we can make it happen. You had a question?
Square footage of the veranda rooms?
Sure. So our room and the veranda is 176 square feet in the room and an additional 45 square feet outside. Based on the clientele that I know some of you are and what you like to travel in, my suggestion would probably be one of our Club Continent suites. That's our first suite level, and those are 256 square feet with an additional 60 square feet outside. I think that's probably more comfortable to what you're used to, but you asked a question about the veranda, so that's the size of the veranda. Yes.
Do you have many ports in Florida?
So from Florida, we're going to be departing from Miami starting in December. My shortest cruise is 10 nights. My longest one will be the 16-night cruise. And then we leave in late February. And then we'll be back again in around November, December. So that's when or we operate from Florida. The challenge of why we don't do more in Florida, there's a few reasons. One, we only have 4 ships. And also, as you know, being Floridian, the market is incredibly competitive down in South Florida for cruising, or anywhere in Florida, right? Jacksonville, Port Canaveral, you name it, Tampa. And the challenge is it's very much driven by price, because on a 7-day cruise, there's only so many places you can go to, and everyone goes to the same places. And we're not in the business to give away our product, because our crew is phenomenal. The onboard experience is phenomenal, and we can't. So that's why we're doing the longer trips. But it allows us to do some different types of itineraries and allows us to stand out. Yes?
What are your current requirements to save?
Oh, that's a great question. The question was, what are your current requirements to sail? So as of, it was July 1st, we removed all testing requirements unless required by that particular government or city or country that we're sailing out of. And then as of December 1st, we will no longer require testing or vaccines from the Caribbean and Europe. So that's where we are today.
But I will just say that you need to ask us again.
Exactly.
100% you need to, because it changes. I'm going on a cruise with another cruise line from Bermuda, and they have their own set of rules that are different from the rest of the departures. And this is one leaving from New York, but it doesn't matter. You got to be tested, you got to show proof of your immunization, and you got to pay $40. It's for Bermuda.
No.
So yes, so ask your advisor, because everywhere is different.
Lionel, for those that are interested or not, you do not have casinos on board, is that correct?
It's a great question. I do not have casinos on board. Yes. This side said, oh, good. I don't know what happened over there, but oh, good. So for us, it's about showcasing the destination. And since all of you have been on a cruise, you know, if you're in port, that casino's closed. So some fun facts about business, right? Because again, I don't know if you picked this up, we're a for-profit business, right? We don't give away anything. And so since you're for-profit, guess what? Those crew members who operate the tables, they were staying in guest cabins. And they don't work for Azamara. They work for someone else. So anything that they make, we're sharing. And those rooms that they're filling, we're not selling to you. And guess what? That casino was closed for 80% of the cruise. How was that a money-making opportunity? So we transformed the space into the Den, which is a beautiful lounge on deck 5, midship, windows on all the sides. It's really nice. Piano player in there in the evening. The bar is always happening all the time. And then we moved some spaces on deck 4 up to deck 5, and we were able to turn that space on deck 4 into 6 additional ocean view rooms. So that allowed us to generate revenue in those additional rooms, plus the rooms we got to get back from the crew that's not working the casino. So it just made sense for us to remove the casino, and our guests love it. Now the guest who comes on thinking there's a casino, you can imagine they don't love it. So thanks for asking the question, because yes, we don't have a casino. Yeah.
Why are you going on another cruise line?
Why am I going on another cruise line? You know what? I love that question. That is awesome. That is awesome. My family asks me the same thing, especially my wife. She's like, really? Another cruise and not with your company? So I get to represent and work on behalf of supporting all the travel agents in the state of Florida. If you don't know this, Florida is the cruise capital of the world, not only because it's heavy on the retired community, which goes on vacations, but also because most of the largest travel agencies in the world are here in Florida. So if you're a cruise line rep and you get the chance to represent Florida, it's like making it to the big leagues. It's amazing. I never thought, truly, that I would have the chance to represent Florida, because the level of accounts that work here are of that caliber. And so what those agencies do is they put together conferences, because they have a footprint that reaches the nation. So they put together conferences and then ask us, the cruise lines, to pay a stupid amount of money to allow us to be there in front of their agents to provide training and support to promote our companies. So surprisingly enough, to your point, I will be on another cruise line, that same one, 3 times this year before the end of the year. No, but I hope you appreciate the answer, because it's the truth. But it's I guess it's a perk. What I love about this job is I get to meet with people that I've never met before. Some people I get to build relationships with. I've known this agency now for 7 years. So in those 7 years, they saw my son being not born yet to now he's going to be 7 at the end of October. And so it's really nice to build relationships and connections. So to me, why be somebody I'm not up here or pretend to be something else? I'm a real person just like you. I have families, I have life. So it's nice to connect. Yes, sir.
Well, this is kind of an odd question, because I've never been on a cruise.
Okay.
What are the medical facilities like?
So the medical facilities are, well, since COVID have been almost doubled in size for what we had. We have about a footprint right now of about 4 staterooms. And we have on board 2 doctors and 4 nurses for our ship. We also have an area down on deck 4 that is strictly for isolation rooms. If we run into an issue where we have more cases, then people can isolate in their balconies. It's what they'll have to do. But we do have an isolation section on board. Obviously, if there's anything life-threatening, it's in the best interest of the passenger to disembark them. And with Azamara being in port every day, almost every day, I think there's a lot of comfort in that too, because it's not like you have to wait a day or 2 to get to land. All right, so I'll mention one thing because it's actually pertinent, and that's that we're part of the Royal Caribbean family up until January of last year. So that comes with its sets of pros and its cons. Its pros are that it took Royal Caribbean 11 years to give us a 3rd ship, and it took our new owners 7 days to get us a 4th ship. So we have more money, and we're going to grow, and you're going to start seeing mailers with us, and you're going to see commercials, and we're going to grow our fleet. We're going to have new ships that are going to come out. It's going to be really exciting times at Azamara. The downside is there's some benefits that you used to get as a past guest of Royal Caribbean or Celebrity at Azamara that will now sadly have to sunset and expire. But something that you probably didn't know is that if you are a loyal guest of Celebrity, your Celebrity Captain's Club number is your Azamara Circle number. So that means you automatically have loyalty with Azamara even though you've never cruised with us. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
The only way to lock that in is book a cruise with us before we exit the system. And doesn't mean you have to travel with us before we exit the system. You just have to book a cruise with us before we exit, and we're exiting in March. Okay? And then if you're a past guest of Royal Caribbean, Platinum or higher, and not Celebrity, that's okay. Your Royal Caribbean number, Platinum or higher, will translate and give you reciprocity status at Azamara at that status of Platinum, which is about 5 cruises. So you also, with your Royal Caribbean number, Captain's Club number, have the reciprocity benefits with us. But again, the only way to protect that and keep it is to book a voyage with us before we exit the system. So we're still in the system, part of this transitional service agreement, but we'll be out of the system by March of next year. So I just wanted to mention that because I know all of you have cruised. I don't know with who specifically, but if you do have any of our old family ties, you can take advantage of those perks. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'll stick around if you want to ask me anything later, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much.